With so many titles coming out this year, and some of them clearly taking the spotlight, other titles inevitably fall under the radar. One of these titles is called Beast of Reincarnation, a game that caught my eye since it was announced due to how familiar yet different it looked at the same time. Imagine Horizon Zero Dawn, but instead of United States we are in Japan. And add to that Sekiro-style combat combined with Final Fantasy and Expedition 33 with a premise like Stellar Blade and The Last Guardian. When you combine all of that, and some other things, you create a game like Beast of Reincarnation. However, for as unique as this game is, I don't hear enough people talking about it, and they should, because this might be one of the best and most creative games this year. The first thing that stands out is the presentation, which is beautiful and horrifying all at once. The game is placed in a post-apocalyptic version of Japan many years into the future, but instead of having the classic zombies or variants, we have plantfolk called blights or malefacts, walking trees and giant flower-like creatures that now inhabit the earth. You play as Emma, an outcast on a mission to purify the land by defeating bosses all the way up to the titular Beast of Reincarnation. For reasons still unexplained, Emma has the ability to absorb the blight that fuels the monsters that inhabit the land, which is exactly the same reason why the remaining human settlements fear her. She is accompanied by a dog named Ku, who is also infected but for unknown reasons is not aggressive, unlike most other blights. It seems that their story will be told through playable flashbacks that you unlock as you progress through the story or explore the world. I am not sure. Learning about how they met and possibly learning who they were before meeting. The developers have been very vague regarding the story, not wanting to spoil the secrets or surprises by any means, which is good because the story seems promising. Emma and Ku are not the only characters in the game. They will encounter other people throughout their journey, like this boy with a staff, or this other woman and her pet unicorn. And some of them will even travel with you, like this old man who seems to be a pilot, and this girl who is some sort of cook or healer. These companions will reside inside your traveling headquarters, the place in which you rest and possibly travel to other explorable regions. It reminds me of the Mantis from Jedi Fallen Order. One of the things that I found the most interesting regarding how this story is handling humanity is that most of the people that survived the apocalypse did so by preserving their consciousness within robots. However, after 2000 years of living within a shell of metal, the human consciousness has turned insane, thus turning them hostile towards Em and Ku, what means that in this game you are not only fighting plant-like beasts, but also humanoid robots that carry the consciousness of people that existed long ago. I can imagine that eliminating this human consciousness will be part of the moral dilemma of the game. Like I already said, the developers have been vague on purpose regarding the story of the game, but from what little they've said, and from what we can gather from the footage shown, the story will be complex and mature by nature. All characters look serious and burdened somehow. One of the few things they've said is that warmth, trust, and loneliness will be the foundation of the game's narrative and atmosphere, and I concur, because those are the three things I feel the most when looking at this game. It seems that Emma early in the story will die, and since she can absorb the essence of blighted creatures, Ku will be able to revive her by passing some of his essence onto her, thus linking them spiritually. This is how she gathers her superhuman abilities and control over nature. But in this process of resurrection, Emma has also forgotten what it's like to be human, and a big focus of her journey will be finding that lost humanity again. It will be interesting to see how the story plays out, because this aspect of Emma absorbing the blighted essence to heal the land reminds me very much of Elika in Prince of Persia 2008, who gradually became weaker and weaker the more she healed the land. How will Emma struggle between fulfilling her mission without losing herself entirely and possibly becoming that which she aims to destroy? And what role will Ku play alongside her? Because he is another infected, but for some reason is helping her instead of attacking her? Why did he save her? And why are they traveling together? This element of companionship that is so heavily featured in the narrative will not only be present in the story, but will also translate cleanly into gameplay. Because Ku is not just another traveling companion that talks, fights one enemy during the entire fight, and gets in your way all the time, but serves as the other half of the player across the experience, making him and Emma symbiotic. From what we can see, the gameplay works like a standard third-person action RPG at first. You control Emma for the most part as you explore the world, using her different traversal abilities born out of her blighted nature, like using her root-like hair to elevate herself from the ground or create bridges to cross gaps. With these abilities, you can position yourself quickly and cleverly to get the drop on enemies during stealth, and, very much like Sekiro, stealth is applicable not just on average enemies but also bosses. Ku, during these segments, follows you and warns you of incoming enemies or hidden treasures, like a few other companions. But once full-blown combat begins, things change radically. Like we already know, combat with Emma works similar to games like Sekiro. She fights with her sword, parrying attacks and doing death blows. Ku is controlled by the AI, doing regular attacks on enemies. But at certain points in the fight, you can directly command him to do special attacks, and when this happens, the game works like Final Fantasy VII Rebirth, pausing time so you can scroll down the different options, and then doing a sort of quick time event to determine the effect of Ku's attack, very much like Expedition 33. These systems, the Final Fantasy style combat, along with the Sekiro style combat, are also symbiotic, requiring of you to manage both to gather the best results in combat. Ku's special abilities are charged with perfect parries from Emma, and if you time Ku's quick time events well, then Emma's health is restored as a bonus. I like this design choice because it fits the themes of companionship the game is selling itself around so much, and it makes sense from a narrative point of view as well. Emma fends off the enemies while Ku prepares his magical attacks, and when he releases his magical charge, that buys Emma time to lick her wounds. It's an interesting mechanic that will motivate players to use both characters instead of neglecting one over the other, and will fuel the player's bond with the characters more. This is something that I have spoken about, both positively and negatively, a few times before in the channel. Many games give you NPCs and write them as assets to the main character, but never translate that to actual gameplay, making the character feel false as a result. There are plenty of characters that are likable from a story point of view, but the ones that resonate with me the most are the ones that actually help me within the gameplay. Every time Farah covered my back when I was fighting sand monsters, every time I was being overwhelmed by thugs and Ellie intervened, saving me, buying me time to react. These are the moments that really stay with me. The story is great and there are plenty of great characters within it, but there is a reason why many people prefer the Farah of the first game over the Farah of the third game. This same reason is why characters like BD1 from the Jedi series shine so bright in contrast to the rest of your allies, because BD1 is, in truth, the only character that really makes the difference for you, not just in story, but gameplay as well. The companion system of Beast of Reincarnation is already a highlight for me, a similar case to Pragmata, another game that came out this year that is merging genres to create a sense of companionship, not just in story, but gameplay as well. And I am almost sure that fighting alongside Ku in this new game will be the best part of the experience, similar to fighting alongside Diana in Pragmata. This game is looking very good, and I would love to play it. From the Sekiro-style combat and stealth action, to the more RPG turn-based elements, this game will be a very curious hybrid of genres, and some of my favorite games are, in fact, hybrids by nature. Games like the Assassin's Creed franchise, which has blended action with stealth, linear narratives with open world structure, naval combat, tower defense minigames, army management systems and so on, and another, less remembered but still a very personal favorite of mine, Quest for Glory, which was also a hybrid franchise of adventure gaming with role-playing systems, action-style combat, and lots of minigames, all of which allowed you to role-play different characters like fighters, magic users, thieves, and paladins. Beast of Reincarnation attracts me due to its hybrid nature, which blends genres that I like separately and more so when put together in a way that improves one another instead of cancelling each other. Playing this game will be fun if the combat, stealth and movement are as tight as they look, and exploring this world will be interesting and fulfilling not only because of how beautiful the world looks, but if the developers nail the writing of the story and characters. Beast of Reincarnation could very well be a contemplative game, and contemplative stories are some of my favorites when they are done right. However, I don't see people talking and hyping this game as much as they should, and if things continue down this route, then this game will become one of those hidden gems that people reflect on years from now in one of those retrospective analysis videos that we all enjoy making and watching. But if the game doesn't sell well now, the studio, Game Freak, will be condemned to making Pokemon games for the rest of eternity. I don't have anything against Pikachu, but it is always sad to see people with initiative fail and forced to go back to the true and tested thing they are so tired of making. So let us support this game. I will buy and play it when I get the money, and I will probably talk about it in the channel when I do. If you're a regular to this channel, I urge you to do so as well, or maybe wait for my in-depth review when it comes out and then you decide if you buy it. If you're new to this channel and came here because of this particular game, then like this video and subscribe because I will be covering this game in the future. I bet that if you are interested in this game it's because you are either a Final Fantasy fan or a Dark Souls fan, so watch my video on how Dark Souls changed gaming for me, which should be appearing on screen right now. Or if not, you might like my review on Berserk and the Band of the Hawk, which should also be appearing on screen right now. Whichever you choose, thank you in advance, have a great time, and of course, stay safe.